Right along to the next cover I'd like to discuss. Okay, here's the thing about Dennis and Donald. Okay, now everyone recalls that there was a very terrible tragedy that befell our astronauts in 2001, February 1st. The crew was on the Columbia shuttle, and the Columbia shuttle had a difficulty, and we at the Space Center made a very big mistake. When Columbia was launched from Cape Kennedy, it had a large external tank on it. And somehow there's insulation that is on this external tank that during launch, the insulation fell off of the tank and struck the leading edge of this wing and punctured it, put a hole in it. Bad thing. Because when you return from space, there is something called re-entry. Let me do this as a little experiment. Take your hands and rub them together very fast. Rub them together very fast and press against each hand. Okay, very fast. Are you doing that? Okay. Now put them on your cheeks. What do you feel? They're hot, heat. That is called friction. And when a spaceship comes back from orbit, there's molecules of air that strike the bottom and re-entry surfaces, and it does the same thing. Only it's so hot, it gets half the temperature of the sun. That would be worse than a sunburn on your cheeks, believe me. It'd be all over for you. So here we have our friend Donald Duck. And he's got a problem. You see what's happening. His spacesuit is burning. But you have to have atmosphere. And where's that atmosphere? Atmosphere goes about 60,000 feet above the level surface of the Earth. And Donald, he's much higher in altitude than 60,000 feet. So that may be another flaw in the comic book cover. Additionally,
and I would record these things now as we talk about it.
You need 5 things, so if you want to take these or add your own, you're fine to do that. But let me ask for your help now. Okay. We use you as a volunteer. Will you turn on this fan? Another dollar store purchase. It lasts, its mean time between failures, about 3 demonstrations, and it's still working. Okay, now, I feel wind. Do you feel that? You guys feel this wind? Okay. If I had a parachute and I held it above this fan, what would happen to the parachute? It would unfurl, or it would, blow up and so forth. If I put a balloon above it, take a pretty big balloon, but it would perhaps inflate a little bit. Because it is acting on air. Now, if there's no air, we can't breathe for one thing. We won't last very long, so let's try this. Hold your breath. Okay, somebody just died. If you were on the moon and tried to hold your breath, you're going to have to release it within a minute or 2. At which time, there is no oxygen. In fact, there is nothing. The pressure is 0. It's a vacuum. So any air that you have in your lung is going to suck out of you. All orifices is going to be sucked out of. So hopefully you won't have eaten a meal too much before that. And you die. So what is happening here? Donald looks okay. But what is Dennis? He's got a problem, doesn't he? Could be one of your other 5 examples in our illustration paragraph, okay? Now let's just move right along. This is a wonderful creation. Boy, this is far, far out. Boy, if I had a wig like that, I wouldn't have to worry about thinning hair. The thing covers the entire top hemisphere of planet Earth. What a wonderful thing. So we have a problem. Of course, that's so ridiculous. I'm not even going to allow you to use that as an example.
Oh, come on.
Scratch it. That's not going to be part of your 5 examples. However, there are some other things that you see there that are certainly applicable, as we have seen from our talk about vacuum and so forth.
Well, see, I think the problem with that is it's Mighty Mouse, and Mighty Mouse superhero should be able to breathe in space.
Okay, so granted that can be the case, but if it's just a generic mouse that runs across and everybody gets frightened by him, I don't like mice either running across my feet. Use it or don't. Okay, here's another thing. It's interesting that artists and comic book graphic designers always, before we went to the moon, would leave out clouds on the earth. They would have depictions of the earth, perhaps Superman flying into space, returning to earth, but the earth was always cloudless, which is of course an error altogether. Without clouds, we won't have any storms, precipitation, we'd be in bad shape. No hurricanes either, perhaps, if you had nothing, but the clouds in this thing are only around the equator, which is interesting. And what's that?
Or a comet?
I think that might be, well, it might be the moon, but look at the relief. The relief is the topography of the moon. Looks pretty rugged, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Looks like the mountains are pretty much higher than Mount Everest, and the depths are probably beneath the deepest part of the Pacific Ocean. So I just noticed that. In fact, as we do this, I'm noticing other things that are in error. Okay.